welcome to another episode of First Impression Sports Talk. I'm your host, Jasmine Pollock, and we have a lot to get into regarding everything NFL off-season moves, free agency, all of that. So let's get started. I want to bring on my good friend, co-host, Anthony Greenfield. We're going to be talking about his Patriots, my Packers. We wish Cole was here because we all know he's a Steelers fan. We all know what he would say because, Cole, he's very critical of his Steelers, but I will say on behalf, he is thrilled that it's not Kenny Pickett this morning as his starting quarterback. So, Anthony, let's really get into it. We'll talk about Russell. All right, so The first big move was probably the Russell Wilson getting cut from the Denver Broncos and then signing with the Steelers. So the Broncos still have to pay him. They still have to pay him over $50 million. And now he's in a new area with Mike Tomlin, who, we debate about him being one of the great coaches and all different things like that. What does this mean for Pittsburgh? And can you see this union working out between Russell and the Steelers?
I definitely see this working out between Russell and the Steelers. For the way that Russell played in Denver, it was good, but I don't think him and Sean Payton were on the same page for most of whatever time he was there for. Now, when he goes to Pittsburgh, he has George Pickens, he has Pat Freiermuth, he has Najee Harris in the backfield. We don't know if Deontay Johnson is going to come back or not, but they still have free agency coming up. It's day 2 now. They still have the draft coming up. So they still have options to find their receiver 2 or their receiver 3. But I do think that Russell Wilson coming to Pittsburgh, what does this mean for Kenny Pickett? Are they gonna do the same situation they did with Zach Wilson and the Jets?
Right.
They bring in Aaron Rodgers. They let him like sit for a year, and then Aaron Rodgers treats or he teaches Zach Wilson how to be a better quarterback, how to read defenses better. So is that the situation, or is Russell Wilson a bridge QB for whatever the Steelers have in the future?
Right. I agree with that take because, for Kenny Pickett, I know if Cole would have a lot to say right now, but I just look at when it comes to Kenny Pickett, it just seems like they're not them signing Russell in the first place or even having that whole conversation. There was no faith in Kenny Pickett as being the guy for the coming years. I don't think this would be bad for Kenny Pickett at all because you have a veteran guy like Russell who's been to 2 Super Bowls, who's been to many playoff games, who is a Super Bowl champion, and you have someone that you can talk to, someone that is a down-to-earth guy, very upstanding guy like Russell Wilson. And what better fit with Mike Tomlin, who is a player's coach? So he's going to do everything in his power to make sure Russ is comfortable, make sure that Russ has the best situation to win. Because, of course, in the Steelers culture, we've talked about it many times in the show, that the Steelers want that winning culture. It's about winning. It's about getting to AFC championship games. It's about getting to Super Bowls. So you want to get back to that, you go get a guy like Russ, essentially. And even in the division right now, you look at Lamar Jackson, you look at Joe Burrow, you look at Deshaun Watson. You look at that division, you had to go get another Kenny Pickett against those guys. No one's going to pick Kenny Pickett over those guys. But now you get a Russell, it makes it a lot more interesting because Russell is experienced. Russell has been there. He's been in those big moments. He's competed with some of the greatest to play the game. And now you're in that division. And for you look at the division right now, I don't know if Lamar and them are going to be that same Lamar team because, you put all your chips in one basket last season. Then Joe Burrow, it's all about his health. They released Nixon and they released Joe. And it's like, what is the Bengals going to look like? And then you look at the Browns. It's the Browns. I mean, it's not that much to say, but when you look at it, if I'm the Steelers, this is a big deal.
You can make a strong candidate for the Browns because look what they did last year.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. They handed the Niners their first loss. So don't sleep on the Browns. And they just traded for Jerry Jeudy. The Browns are actively trying to get into that conversation of, okay, these teams they're on the rise again. They're starting to come back. They're trying to be a Detroit Lions. They're trying to be a New Orleans Saints. They're trying to be a Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Browns are trying to be part of a team that knows what they're doing and that knows how to move forward.
Yes. I hope, and also when it comes to that, I really hope that I think Deshaun has been injured. That's been their issue, is him being injured, him not playing full seasons. If he's able to be healthy, I give the Browns a shot. But I just feel like the Browns is just the Browns thing. There's a looming thing over them. I don't know what it is. It's like, 1 minute it's like, man, the Browns look scary, and then it's like, boom. But
yeah,
we'll see what Russ is gonna do. I'm really happy for Russ, because I'm a Russell Wilson fan, so I'm really happy for him. What better organization than the Steelers, right? Like, I mean, you have an organization that can get things done, that is trying to get back in that conversation. So that wraps up that segment. But you mentioned those Tampa Bay Buccaneers, which is where I'm at.
Yes.
Baker Mayfield, $100 million, $55 million guaranteed. But you still get Mike Evans back, which was huge. That was the biggest news out of Tampa that I thought was great, because I didn't want to see him go to the Chiefs. That would have been insane. But
that wouldn't have been fair.
That would have been crazy. But yeah. Anthony, did Baker deserve that much money? $100 million is crazy. 55 guaranteed.
Yeah, 100. If you ask me, 100 million is kind of pushing it for Baker Mayfield. But if you look at his resume and where he started, I can see how they got to that number. Because when he came in with the Browns and he beat the Jets that Thursday night, everybody was telling, "Whoa, who is this kid? Whoa, we didn't know Baker is gonna be that good." Then he goes to the Rams, or he goes to the Panthers first. My apologies. He goes to the Panthers first. So then when he goes to the Panthers, now it's like, okay, maybe Baker's kind of washed. Maybe he's good. Maybe he's not good. We don't know. Then he goes to the Rams. And he comes in, he lights up the Raiders. If I'm not mistaken, on a Sunday night or a Thursday night, it was a night game. It was a night game, and I remember it so vividly. He lit up the Raiders defense, and nobody expected it. Now, when he goes to the Bucs, he leads them to the playoffs his second season. And so when he comes in, it's like, you know what? Baker puts up good numbers. He's not a great quarterback. He's not those quarterbacks to where you say, you know what? Baker Mayfield's our guy. Baker Mayfield's somebody who I want for the franchise. Baker's like those quarterbacks to where he's solid. He knows what to do. He goes through his progressions. He knows how to hit targets in the open field. He knows his presence, and he knows like when to just dump it off and when to take the deep shot. Baker Mayfield is that guy to say, all right, we'll rock with him for 2-3 more years, maybe 4. But then we got to get somebody younger. We got to get somebody new. We actually want to develop our franchise around.
Yes. And to mention that too, like this signing tells me that they, even they said they feel like Baker's the best quarterback for them. Okay.
Right.
Okay. This $100 million is pushing it. I talked to some of my Bucks friends who are Bucks fans. They agree with it. My dad's a Bucks fan. He doesn't like Baker. He's never liked Baker. So he's just like, all right, we'll just live with it right now, but I don't like this. But I always say Baker is the guy. He can win you a division. I think he can win you a division. But when you look at that division, it's not a great division. You could win in that division. I'll give him wild card just like they did last season. They beat the Eagles in the wild card game. Then you go to Detroit. You lose in Detroit. But for the Bucks, though, I feel like you're giving him $100 million. Well, I feel you could have put that in other places. You know what I mean? You just traded Carlton Davis to Detroit. Your best cover corner. You traded him to Detroit. Okay. Maybe you're going to go look in the draft. Maybe you're going to try to go get somebody. I don't know. But that's a ton of money in a quarterback, that, he's good enough. He's not great, but he's good enough. And in this league, you can't just be good enough. You just can't be good enough. You have to be great. And that's when we talk about the Brock Purdy's of the world. We talk about that. He was good, but he wasn't great. He was good enough to get you there. And that's not. And when we're talking about the Bucks, who just you had the GOAT for X amount of years. You win a championship with Tom Brady and different things like that. That's the guy that got it done. That's the guy that it was going to happen. With Baker, it's like, okay, this is the next guy up, and it's like, okay, we're good enough. When we're looking at the NFC, how the NFC is looking right now, it's a lot more wide open, and I'm saying that loosely, than the AFC right now, because the AFC is stacked with quarterback. They're stacked, and then Russell's over there with, in the AFC North. This conference is stacked. The AFC is stacked. But when we look at the NFC, you're going to start seeing guys get drafted. You're going to start seeing guys like a Caleb Williams. We talk about Chicago and him maybe, teaming up. You have Jordan Love, who's emerged. You have Brock Purdy still going to be there. Dak, Jalen, guys like that. And then the Commanders, we have no idea who they're going to get at quarterback. That's a story waiting to be told. But when we look at it, I feel like in the NFC South, Kirk Cousins just goes to the Falcons. And Kirk Cousins, I think that's not a bad fit for the Falcons. I'm not big or sold on Kirk Cousins, but that's not a bad fit for them and what they're trying to do. When we look at the AFC South, you have Derek Carr, you have Baker, you have kid from Carolina. What's his name? I'm forgetting his name. Yep, he was the quarterback from Alabama, the Heisman Trophy winner. I'm forgetting his name. Yeah, that's so sad. But then you get Kirk Cousins. When we look at this division, is it going to be another year where it's like they're 6-5 and somebody wins the division? I feel like it's going to be like that. The NFC South is going to continue to be where it is. This flat line, whatever, whoever peaks, whoever, we'll see who's going to do it. But I don't know. I don't know if I would have gave Baker that much money. I would have put that money in other things. I would have re-signed him. Not saying he shouldn't have been re-signed, but $100 million is pushing it. That's a lot of money that you could have put in different places. But then we look at the Commanders, right? They signed Austin Eckler. They're getting people together. You're starting to see them slowly start to make shifts. They have the Golden State general manager as their general manager now. They have people. They have Magic Johnson as minority owner. You have guys like that. You have Dan Quinn, head coach now. What do you think, Anthony, for the Commanders? Do you like some of their moves? Who do you think they're going to get as their quarterback in the draft? They're most likely going to get a quarterback in the draft. Who do you think is the best fit for them right now as they're making some of these moves?
Well, first of all, let me start off by saying I think that Austin Eckler signing that they had, that's probably gonna be the best acquisition of this season, because Antonio Gibson just went to the Patriots. Yeah. So now they're looking for that third down back. They're looking for that receiver back to put them into a situation to where, all right, we need 3rd and 5, give it to Eckler. Where it's 2nd and 2, give it to Eckler. It's 1st and 10. Let's do a screen or do like a swing or angle route to Eckler. He'll get us that first down. So now moving on to what I think about the Commanders as an organization. I like what they're doing. They're addressing their O-line. They're addressing their backfield. They're addressing their D-line. They just lost Montez Sweat and Chase Young in a trade last year. Yeah. They don't think they're going to bring back Jonathan Allen or De'Aaron Payne. Nope. So they brought in Armstrong from the Cowboys. They brought in an O-lineman from the Chiefs. They brought in Austin Eckler from the Chargers. I like what the Commanders are doing, and I like the way this organization has an upward trajectory in the future. Now, in regards to the draft, the 2nd overall pick, if you want my biased opinion, I want them to get Drake May. Only because I want the people to get. He
seems like their kind of quarterback. Drake May would make sense.
I was talking with one of my friends earlier, and he told me that Drake May is like a Josh Allen clone, and I could see that. I agree. It's between you want a Josh Allen clone or you want a Lamar Jackson's clone. Me personally, I'd rather have a Lamar Jackson. I don't want a quarterback that's just going to sit in the pocket, not move anywhere, and just throw the ball. And no, that's what quarterbacks are known for. But in this modern day quarterback,
you got to run. You got to be dual threat.
Quarterbacks to be mobile. They need to be dual threats. They need to rely on their legs part of the time, and they need to rely on their actual QB sense the other part of the time.
Yes.
So at pick number 2, I want them to get Drake May. They make it Jaden Daniels, but I want them to get Drake May. Now, pick
Jaden
number
Daniels
3,
would make sense for the Patriots.
yes.
I'm just saying. I'm not saying that because you're on here, but I'm saying that would make a lot more sense, especially where the Patriots are trying to get back to. Go get that star guy. It's a new scenery. Belichick's not there. It's new. Go for him. Go get him.
Yes, it's a totally new era in New England.
Yeah, go get him. Make that name. Go
Elliott Wolf is cooking right now. He brought back our most core players. He signed Antonio Gibson. He signed Jacoby Brissett just for like that veteran experience in the backup for
exactly.
draft number 3. I like what Wolf is doing. Now, like I said earlier, it's day 2. I'm waiting for that notification to say Calvin Ridley to the Patriots or whatever big name receiver to the Patriots. I always see.
Didn't T. Higgins request a trade?
Yes, T. Higgins required a trade, but if you want to trade for T. Higgins, it's either going to be a first or an early second. Now, the Patriots have a 34th overall pick they have a 34th overall pick in the second round. But is that enough to give up for T. Higgins? If you ask me, I think that's enough. We get T. Higgins. They get the 34th pick. They probably going to be like a Donnie Mitchell or maybe Lad McConkey or maybe McCaffrey's brother. So with that 34th, I think we send that to Cincinnati. T. Higgins comes here. We draft Jaden Daniels, and we just let Alex Van Pelt cook.
You got a team.
We just let him cook.
Yeah, you got it. You have a young team that you can work with and some veteran guys that can also help the young team out. But I just feel like it's going to be crazy. Like, I feel like this year there's going to be a lot of new faces, a lot of new quarterbacks just coming in waves. Like, we're talking about now. I'm gonna come on here and say this. When we talk about Caleb Williams in Chicago, I'm gonna be honest with you, Anthony. I'm not sold on Caleb Williams like that, because yes, what I saw in college was, wow, Patrick Mahomes-esque. He has that whole persona, and I'm just like, when you get to the league and you get to a bad team, Mahomes was landed in the perfect spot with an Andy Reid, a coach that is proven. If you're going to Chicago, right, I mean, you might do those things and it's going to be totally different, because you're going to have defenders running at you at full speed. It's not going to be college where you can just dance around and run around that way and expect somebody to be down there. And I saw his last season this year. I saw the games against Notre Dame. I saw those games against certain teams, and they were questionable games. And I look at those games where you're playing big schools, and he lost 3 big games. You lose to Oregon against Bo Nix. I saw how you performed. And not saying the kid isn't talented, because he is talented, but his height, that's a question to me. 2, is that style of play, going to translate well in this league, especially if he is going to Chicago? I don't know. And I don't know. I don't know about Caleb Williams. I have to see him how he looks the first year. The Chicago has to put things around him. If they're able to put things around him and do things, then we can talk. But I'm not 100% sold the way I am sold on a Jaden Daniels or a Drake May, someone like that. And even Bo Nix, I know he took a hit because he didn't have the best combine. But even if somebody gets a Bo Nix and he's able, like somebody, let's say, like the Rams, if they're able to get somebody like Bo Nix, that would make sense to me, because okay, you're gonna sit back in Matthew Stafford. You have Sean McVay, who is an offensive guru. You learn from that and you put him in there. I can see Bo Nix sitting down and paying attention and watching the scene. But Caleb Williams is a lot of questions that I have about that kid. A lot of questions. Not saying he isn't talented, but I have a lot of questions. What do you think about that?
That makes sense. I could see why you're uneasy about Caleb Williams. Now, for me, Caleb Williams, it's just his love for the game that I respect. I don't respect how he addressed the media early on, and he said that I want to get drafted to a good team, or if the Bears have the first overall, then I'm not gonna go there. I don't respect that.
It's a red
because
flag.
exactly, it's a red flag. Do you know and understand that only 1% of anybody of any of all college athletes only get to the NFL? And then you
Yeah,
have a guy like Caleb Williams. I know he's not that guy, I know he's not that mean, but to
but
have
just
that
saying that, yeah,
exactly, just saying that, and whatever's on the internet stays with you forever. So now it's like if he gets traded to the Bear, or he goes to the Bears first overall, which I know he's gonna do, it's like
right,
that's gonna come up every now and again. So come up every time he loses, every time he says my weapons are not good, every time he says, oh my God, I love this organization. This organization is so great. They treat me good. I have good coaching. I have great receivers, this, that, and the third. But then somebody from the internet is going to come up and say, hey, you said this 5, 6, 7 months ago. What happened? Why'd you change?
right.
So if you
And
ask me, I think they should still go with Caleb Williams, but going forward, you honestly need to be punished. You need
right,
to be on. You need to be a backup. You're not a day
yeah,
one starter because you don't believe in our organization. You should be a backup to Justin Fields if they decide to keep Justin Fields by the time the draft comes.
right. And when we look at that too, it's Caleb Williams is I'm again, he is talented. Like the kid can make plays, but when you say things like that, it turns a lot of people off. You know, I want to go to a good team. You're most likely not going to go to a good team. You're a Heisman Trophy winner. Usually the
Right.
guys that are the Heisman Trophy winners, that are the best quarterback in college, are going to go to a bad team that needs a quarterback. But at the same time, I can't help when it comes to Chicago. Let's just talk about the organization. Chicago, it's not Justin Fields' fault that he hasn't evolved. It's not all his fault at all.
Yeah.
And I think Justin Fields, he is still a decent quarterback, but I just feel like the kid has had a lot of coaches. The kid's had a lot of offensive coordinators. You can't expect a young quarterback coming into the league to have a smooth sailing in, to understand the game, if you have multiple coaches that like just thrown at him. That's what I feel like happened with Jameis Winston when he was in Tampa. So 5 different coaches, 5 different offensive coordinators. Every year you were there, and then there's an expectation that you should know it all. No, he was talented in college. Get him somebody that has this type of play style. That's why I rave about Andy Reid and Mahomes' relationship, because even though Mahomes he was good. He had the tangibles in college. He had the skill set in college. But then you get an Andy Reid who's, I'm going to add this. I'm going to add that to what you already have and use your strengths. Look at what he is now. So that's what I look at when it comes, and that's why I feel like these teams need to mirror what just happened with Mahomes and Andy Reid. Go get a young guy that, okay, this is our guy, but we're going to build around him. We're going to give him his strengths. Lamar Jackson, they gave him his strengths. But then you have to show that, and that's what separates, Mahomes and everybody else, because even though the Ravens gave Lamar the strengths, like he can run, we gave him a tight end, we gave him this O-line, but what separates Mahomes is, yes, Andy Reid gave me what I needed, but in those moments, I'm going to do me. You get what I'm saying? So that's where we separate them from Lamar and those guys, because even though Mahomes, Andy Reid made the play calls, but when it's time for the games on the line, Mahomes sees something, I'm going to be Mahomes. I'm going to be Magic. That's what we separate that. So when it comes to Chicago, I don't think it's all on Justin Fields. I think the whole organization needs a lot of things to happen. But if they do get Caleb, we'll see what happens. I'm not sold yet, because I don't think it's going to be the best pairing. I don't think it's going to be the best pairing, but I wish the kid the best. I just think he needs to think before he speaks, because a lot of guys don't get drafted. A lot of guys don't make it. Well, we're like, hey, why is this guy didn't make it? Because that's just what the league is. And
exactly.
I just think that you just need to go in there, work hard, be the best you can be, do what you can, learn what you can, and just see what happens. But let's talk about my Packers before we close out, because I know there's a lot to talk about. But I just have to talk. So, Anthony, yesterday morning, I was elated. Josh Jacobs signs the Green Bay Packers. I'm like, 1-2 punch in the backfield with Aaron Jones, Josh Jacobs. 30 minutes later, Aaron Jones is released. What are we talking about? Then we get Xavier McKinney. I was like, okay, I like that. That's cool. You know, it helps our secondary. That's a good piece. This morning I wake up. Aaron Jones is a Viking.
Yes.
A Viking. And I'm sitting here
now you
like,
gotta play him
what
twice a
are
year.
we doing?
Well,
I was so confused.
If you ask me, the Packers were one of the two teams yesterday that splurged heavily. They spent all their money on Josh Jacobs. They spent all that money on Xavier McKinney. And I know they spent some more money. I know they did release David Bakhtiari, which I still don't understand. But that's here nor there. Now, you have a 1-2. You still have a 1-2 punch. Correct me if I'm wrong, but is A.J. Dillon still a Packer? Or is he?
Yes.
So,
but think about a dynamic 1-2 punch, and then A.J. Dillon. You know what I mean? Like,
yes. You still have a 1-2 punch, but it's not the 1-2 punch that you wanted. So
that would have been crazy.
First to third. And if you want to run it 2 yards, 3 yards, you got the quad father. You got A.J. Dillon. That's a 1-2 punch. With Jordan Love in the backfield, and with, let's say you guys go split back formation. You have A.J. Dillon right here on Jordan's left, and you have Josh Jacobs on his right. Inside zone handoff to Josh Jacobs. Boom, to the crib. You have a quick dump off to A.J. Dillon. He's going to run through about 2-3 people. First down.
Agreed.
And you're telling me that duo right there is not going to terrorize the NFC North?
Oh, yes.
If I was a Lions, I was a Lions,
Aaron Jones, Josh Jacobs, and A.J. Dillon. Like, because this is my thing. Aaron Jones added a dynamic to the offense. Every time he was on the field, even when he was injured, we could tell when it was just A.J. Dillon, there was something missing in the offense. Aaron Jones literally jump-started our offense. He literally jump-starts the offense. When Aaron was there, he jump-started the offense. Or Rodgers, I mean. When Rodgers was there, he jump-started the offense. In that game against Dallas, he single-handedly destroyed Dallas. Even though Jordan Love still did a number on them, but Aaron Jones ran over Dallas. A Dallas team who was top 5 in defense in their building. Not only that, you go to San Francisco. He did his big one there too. He had over 100 yards rushing in that game, and he was running over them too. You know, towards the end of the game. If you gave me that along with Josh Jacobs and you still had A.J. Dillon, I would have been in the candy shop. But now Josh Jacobs is phenomenal. Let me put that out here. He is phenomenal. I'm not angry or like, what are we doing type of thing. But I'm just saying, like, we could have had best of both worlds on top of Quadzilla in the backfield too. That would have been like, you know what? As a defense, how do you prepare for an Aaron Jones and a Josh Jacobs? Then they got a guy that can run through people right behind that. So it's like, you know, I'll give it. Let's say this: it's a B- for me. It's a B- for me right now. But if it was them three in the backfield with Jordan Love, that's definitely an A+. That's, you passed the test at that point. And I just feel like for Aaron Jones, he jump started the offense. He did things that the way he ran, it was inevitable. You know, like he was able to get loose. He was able to do different things. He was shifty. He was elusive. He was slippery. And then you get a Josh Jacobs. You add that would have been insane. That would have been crazy. But then the Vikings get him. I'm not happy about that. They get him. Like, the Vikings don't need him. They didn't need him. Why are you getting our players? I want to ask Vikings fans, every time we let one of our players go, why do you get them? Why do you want to get what we have? I really want to know. I just want to know. It's this thing. It started with Brett Favre, Zadarius Smith, then now Aaron Jones. What is your problem? Are you guys obsessed with us or something?
If you ask me, Jasmine, a good reason why the Vikings went to go out and get Aaron Jones, they had Dalvin Cook a few years ago.
Exactly.
They just released Alexander Madison.
Yeah.
So now in the backfield, who do they have? And it's good to have a division rival because only twice a year, it's like, all right, he knows y'all defense inside and out. He runs through y'all during practice. He runs through y'all on the walkthroughs. He went through y'all on the free days. He knows what he's doing. So I think it's a smart plan for Aaron Jones to go to the Vikings because you guys had a downfield runner in Aaron Jones. So now adding and now adding that to the Vikings offense. Now, let's not talk about their QB decision. Sam Darnold.
Yeah, I don't know. That's another team that needs to
after leaving Kirk Cousins. No, that's like the biggest downgrade. That's like you getting an A in like a math test, and the very next week you get an F. Because that's the biggest downgrade to me. So hopefully the Vikings have an answer in the draft or have a different answer in free agency. Because all Vikings fans, I do not know what is going through the scouting personnel or director of personnel. I don't know what's going through his mind to say, you know what? We like Sam Darnold. That's our guy. We're going to let Kirk Cousins walk, and we're going to bring in Sam Darnold. I wonder, like, what kind of sense does that – in what universe does that make sense?
Right.
That doesn't make sense.
I agree with that. You know, for Vikings fans, they love this because, like, we get Aaron Jones, like, you know, like against the Green Bay. I get that. And I think I'm already knowing he's going to do a number on us. And I'm okay with that. I'm all right with that. If he drops 200 yards on us, I don't care. I don't care. Just go ahead. Just put me out of my misery. But I just feel like when we signed Josh Jacobs, I was like, the three, because I love A.J. Dillon. I love A.J. Dillon. But you have Aaron Jones, Josh Jacobs, and Quadzilla in the back. Like, them three, like, I was like, there's no way people can defend that on top of our young receiving core who is very underrated. And then Jordan Love. I'm like, that's the perfect thing. You know, you just keep getting running backs. Like, you just keep them fresh. Now, A.J. Dillon and Josh Jacobs. But we'll see. I'm not – the Packers, I'm not mad with some of our moves. I like Xavier McKinney. I love that pick. I love that pickup because that's going to add a dynamic to our backfield in the secondary as well. And I'm excited about that. I know we let Savage go. Savage is good, but he does have his moments where he can be had. So I just want people to know that. So I just think that for the Packers, I don't think we're done. I think we could make some things happen. I think we could, you know, get some more people. I think the biggest thing I want us to do, though, is definitely get the front line together. We let go of Runyon. We let go of Bakhtiari, guys who've been there, guys who've been there with Aaron and different things like that. So I think we need to go fill those guys in. And then on the defensive side of the ball, we need to get pass rushers. We need to get more pass rushers. Kenny Clark is phenomenal. Rashawn Gary's phenomenal. Preston Smith is phenomenal. But we need to go get another guy. Go get another guy that can go get pressure. We got a new defensive coordinator, which I like. I'm really excited about. Go get some guys and maybe some more linebackers. Definitely some more linebackers. And I think we'll be solid. I think in the division, though, I think it's going to be out of us in Detroit. Chicago, they're still figuring things out. Obviously, the Vikings are still trying to figure things out because they let Kirk Cousins go. They're trying to figure out who they're – but the two teams in the NFC North is definitely the Lions and the Packers for sure. I think those two are going to be battling it out for that who's going to win the division. But thank you, Anthony, again for being on the show. We're definitely going to talk more. We'll probably be back on this week because we don't know what's going to happen. There's going to be a lot of things going to be happening.
Speaking of you don't know what happens, I just got a breaking news. So the Texans or the Bengals just traded Joe Mixon to the Texans. So Joe Mixon is now in the backfield with C.J. Stroud. And that happened 2 minutes ago. And
you see people?
Yes, it's starting already.
I mean, and that's a good move. I think that's a good move for the Texans. You get a running back like that. He's a good running back with C.J. Stroud and get a running game going. They're going to be good. We didn't even talk about Saquon Barkley and the Eagles, but you know let's talk about that later because I'm not that. That's going to be crazy.
There's so much to talk about. I have an entire.
Crazy.
We didn't talk about Christian Wilkins to the Raiders. We didn't talk about Gus Edwards to the Chargers. We didn't talk about Brian Burns to the Giants. We didn't talk about Chidobe Awuzie to the Titans. We didn't talk about the Jaguars splurging. Gabe Davis now a Jacksonville Jack. We didn't talk about none of that.
They're stacking. They're stacking.
There's so much to talk about.
Oh man, you know what? How about this? I'm gonna say this. We're gonna be back this week. We're gonna be back with Cole, and we're all gonna break down because we all know some things are gonna happen today, tomorrow, everything. So we're gonna be back this week. Make sure you set your notifications because we're gonna be talking about it. There's a lot to talk about in the NFL right now. I'll get to the NBA later, but the NFL
please turn your noties on.
Yes, have your
It's gonna
notifications
get
on. But
crazy.
thank you, Anthony, for being on the show. I'm really glad that you're on the show to talk about sports. We'll probably have Cole on again later on this week. Thank you, Jay. Thank you, Leon, for producing the show and constantly, giving us your support. And we look forward to keep talking to you guys and bringing you guys sports content. That wraps up this week's First Impression Sports Talk. See you guys later this week.